The delayed reopening of schools just announced by the Deputy Basic Education Minister.
Good morning, pleasure to be with you. A slight correction, I'm the Executive Director, not the President. But in terms of the announcement by the Minister, it's a little bit of a departure away from what we had been discussing as stakeholders. And some of the issues are unfortunately not absolutely clear. The one is the whole issue of schools. The second one is about the issue of the ECDs. And then, of course, in terms of the return to school or the delay in schooling, it has prioritized only the learners. And this we find a little strange, because remember that the teachers are most infected and most infectious as well. And we are worried that 3 weeks prior to the learners coming back, the SMT will be there. And that's an inordinately long time. And we need to find out what the rationale for this is, or even teachers to be there 2 weeks before the learners. Remember that teachers spent long hours before the close of school preparing for the new year. We agree they must be there before the learners, and they must prepare the system before the learners, but the length of time seems an inordinately long time. And we are going to certainly engage around this, because we don't believe people sitting around in clusters is necessarily going to help. But remembering too that 450,000 teachers on the move at the peak of the pandemic must certainly also be a high risk. And when we had a discussion, we were talking about the lives of teachers and learners. And now we don't see that this is necessarily being fully considered. So we will engage, as we always do, to find out what the rationale was for this difference. But we are concerned that even with private schools, whilst many of them have bought into it, and which is a good thing, there's still a little door open for people to do their own thing. We are worried because it creates the impression that certain people are above getting infected, that certain people are not susceptible to the virus, which is untrue. Our scientists tell us that the virus will be peaking, and we need to respect what the best minds in the country are saying about the virus. And that is why we are a little concerned. Sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, we're a bit time-tied, but I have to thank you for your contribution. Interesting that you say it's a departure when the Deputy Minister said they had consulted with stakeholders. Let's bring in the representative of COSATU, Mr. Pamla. Mr. Sizwe Pamla, thank you so much for joining us this morning. COSATU's reaction to this announcement.
Well, as COSATU, we do welcome the delay because this is what we hope that this type is spent engaging with stakeholders, the protocol, developing a plan, will have the support of them. We've been arguing that I think it's not just about creating an environment where teaching is possible. We have seen many of these schools in other hotspot areas. They have lost teachers. It's been done who inside and other people stress into schools. To ensure as and when it's teachers needed to teach and themselves to learn. So we hope that all stakeholders around these protocols and the plan
we might seek to get that reaction later on because the connection is not too good. Let's take you to the other big interest story